The courtroom was silent except for the aggressive tap-tap-tapping of Patricia Whitmore's perfectly manicured nails against the defendant's table. She sat there like a peacock in a Chanel suit, radiating the kind of confidence that only comes from a lifetime of getting away with absolutely everything. I watched her from across the room, fighting back a smile that threatened to give away the nuclear bomb I was about to drop. "Your Honor," her lawyer began, adjusting his tie like he was preparing for the performance of his life. "My client has been the dedicated HOA president of Willowbrook Estates for 12 years. She has maintained property values, upheld community standards, and illegally attempted to evict my client." My lawyer interrupted smoothly. Patricia's eye twitched, just once, but I caught it. The judge looked between us with the weary expression of someone who'd seen this exact drama play out 1,000 times before. "Miss Chen, you're claiming age discrimination and harassment, among other things. Your Honor, let me back up and tell you how I ended up in this legal thunderdome, facing off against the human embodiment of expired mayonnaise. 3 months earlier, I'd moved into my dream house at 1247 Maple Lane, 26 years old, fresh out of my master's program, and the proud owner of a beautiful colonial with a wraparound porch that I'd saved for since I was 16. The house was perfect. The neighborhood was perfect. Patricia Whitmore was not perfect. She appeared at my door on move-in day like a bad omen in beige slacks, clipboard in hand, lips pursed tight enough to crack walnuts. "I'm Patricia Whitmore, HOA president," she announced, scanning my moving boxes with the intensity of a TSA agent. "I need to verify that you're authorized to be here." "I'm sorry. What?" "This is a family neighborhood. We have standards." "Are you renting?" I blinked. "I own this house." Her laugh was the sound of wind chimes in a hurricane. "Oh, honey, that's adorable. But seriously, where are your parents?" "I need to speak with the actual homeowner." The audacity hit me like a slap. "I am the actual homeowner. Listen, sweetheart," she said, stepping closer with the confidence of someone who'd never been told no in her entire privileged existence. "I don't know what kind of arrangement you have with the real owner, but this community has rules. We can't have random young people treating our neighborhood like some kind of college dormitory." I could have lost it right there. Instead, I smiled. "Would you like to see the deed?" "Oh, I'm sure you have some paperwork, but we'll need to verify everything through proper channels. I'll be back." She turned and strutted away, leaving me standing in my own doorway, wondering if I'd accidentally moved into an alternate dimension where basic human decency had been outlawed. The harassment started immediately. First, it was the anonymous noise complaints. Apparently, my excessive unpacking at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday was disturbing the peace. Then came the parking citations. My car was allegedly 3 inches too close to the mailbox. The mailbox that sat a full 10 feet from the curb. Every morning, I'd wake up to find a new violation notice tucked under my windshield wiper like a passive-aggressive love letter. "To many lights on after 10 p.m. Garden gnome not approved by architectural committee. Doormat color inconsistent with neighborhood aesthetic." I started documenting everything. Photos, timestamps, screenshots of the HOA rules that mysteriously didn't mention any of the violations I was supposedly committing. Patricia escalated quickly. She showed up with her little posse of neighborhood cronies, all hovering around my property line like vultures circling roadkill. "We're conducting a compliance inspection," she announced, tablet in hand. "Do you have a warrant? This is an HOA matter." "Dear, we don't need warrants. Actually, you do need permission to enter my property." Her face went nuclear. "Don't get smart with me, little girl. I've been running this neighborhood since before you were born. I know every rule, every regulation, every loophole. If you think you can just waltz in here and what? Live in the house I legally purchased, you're too young to own property. In this neighborhood, it's obviously some kind of fraud." There it was. The quiet part out loud. The final straw came when I returned from a weekend trip to find an eviction notice taped to my front door. Not a violation notice, an actual eviction notice, complete with legal language and a court date. I stared at it in disbelief. This woman had actually filed paperwork to evict me from my own house. The notice claimed I was an unauthorized occupant engaged in fraudulent property claims and disturbing the peace through continued violation of community standards. I called my lawyer immediately. She did what? Jennifer's voice cracked through the phone. Filed for eviction from my own house. That's not how any of this works. She's not your landlord. She has no legal authority to evict anyone from their own property. So, what do? We bury her. Back in the courtroom, Patricia's lawyer was still pontificating about community standards and property values while she sat there looking like she'd already won. Your Honor, he continued, Ms. Whitmore has documentation showing multiple violations of HOA regulations, noise complaints from neighbors, and clear evidence that Ms. Chen is not the legitimate owner of this property. The judge looked at me. Ms. Chen, how do you respond? I stood up slowly, savoring the moment. Your Honor, I'd like to present evidence that Ms. Whitmore has been systematically harassing me based on age discrimination, and that her eviction filing constitutes malicious prosecution. I nodded to my lawyer, who handed me a thick folder. First, I have recordings of Ms. Whitmore explicitly stating that I'm too young to own property in this neighborhood. Second, I have documentation showing that every single violation notice I received was for rules that don't exist in the actual HOA charter. Patricia's confidence wavered slightly. Third, I have witness statements from neighbors confirming that Ms. Whitmore told them I was some kind of squatter and encouraged them to file false complaints. Her lawyer leaned over and whispered something urgent in her ear. She shook her head dismissively, but most importantly, Your Honor, I have bank records showing that Ms. Whitmore has been embezzling HOA funds for 3 years. The courtroom went dead silent. Patricia's face drained of color like someone had pulled a plug. I'm sorry. What? The judge asked, while preparing my defense. I requested financial records from the HOA. Turns out, Ms. Whitmore has been funneling community funds into her personal accounts to pay for her legal fees, landscaping for her own property, and what appears to be a rather expensive vacation to the Bahamas. I pulled out the bank statements with the flourish of a magician revealing their best trick. She's been using HOA money to finance her harassment campaign against me. The eviction filing, paid for with community funds she illegally appropriated. Patricia shot to her feet. That's completely false. I would never. Sit down, Ms. Whitmore. The judge commanded. My lawyer stood up. Your Honor, we're prepared to file criminal charges for embezzlement, harassment, and malicious prosecution. We're also seeking damages for emotional distress and legal fees. The judge studied the documents for what felt like an eternity. When he finally looked up, his expression was granite. Ms. Whitmore, not only is your eviction filing dismissed, but I'm ordering an immediate investigation into these financial irregularities. Bailiff, please escort Ms. Whitmore out of my courtroom. Patricia's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air as the bailiffs approached her table. This is ridiculous, she shrieked as they led her away. I've been president for 12 years. I know every rule, every regulation. Apparently, I called out sweetly, you missed the one about not stealing from your neighbors. 3 weeks later, Patricia Whitmore was arrested for embezzlement, removed from the HOA board, and ordered to pay restitution to the entire community. The local news picked up the story, and suddenly everyone knew about the HOA president who tried to evict a homeowner from her own house. I'm still living at 1247 Maple Lane, by the way. The new HOA president is a lovely woman named Susan who brought me cookies and apologized profusely for Patricia's behavior. Turns out, when you try to destroy someone's life out of petty jealousy and age discrimination, you might just end up destroying your own instead. Karma, it seems, has excellent timing.